Hey, this is Mark, and this is episode 30 of the Why Are We Still Doing This podcast. I want to talk about something that has really bothered me as of late. I want to talk about a TikTok that I had made probably about a month or so ago that made me lose a lot of faith in humanity. And this was one of those situations where you put something out on the internet and people take it at face value. They take it very literally. And you forget that when posting, that some people cannot see humor in it all. I posted a TikTok that had video from a trip to Fenway Park from about 3 years ago when we went to our first baseball game as a family. And this video was just mainly to have a baseball background for the video. And the caption in this video read, "Most important unwritten baseball rule. If you're an adult and you catch a foul ball / home run, you immediately give it to the nearest child." Now, as of this recording, I have almost 400 comments on this post, and the overwhelming majority of them are against this statement. The overwhelming majority of people responded to giving a kid a baseball at a Major League Baseball game. They responded with essentially, "F these kids." And the overall tone in the majority of these negative responses seemed really angry. Like in hearing my made-up comedic rule, people acted like I desecrated a family burial plot. And in thinking of some of the responses people were giving, I think that I might have given a similar response if I was 22 years old. My hope is that these responses were from people of that age and not grown men in their 40s. Anyway, the entire point of this TikTok, the entire message behind this was to make a kid's day. Make a 5-year-old kid's day by handing them a baseball that was just cracked into the stands. Something he can take home to show his friends or grandparents or whoever he gets excited to see. Going to a Major League Baseball game as a kid is a huge event. There's this feeling you just can't comprehend the very first time you walk out of the concourse and up into the stands. The sight of seeing how big the field really is in person, the sound of the PA announcer and the organ pumping through the speakers, the smell of popcorn, fried food, and vomit from some 23-year-old who pre-gamed way too hard in the parking lot. As a kid, I always brought my baseball glove to a Major League Baseball game, even though most of the time I was sitting nowhere a foul ball or a home run could possibly be hit, such as the cheap seats in center field. But I always thought there was a chance. What would I have done with the ball? I would have brought it home, showed it to my friends, and probably put it on display on my nightstand. It was every kid's dream to get a baseball that was used in play at a baseball game. When I first posted this TikTok stating that I felt you, a grown adult, should give a small child a souvenir to take home, such as a foul ball, a few people commented with, "I agree." But then it quickly went downhill. I'm going to read to you some of the comments people left that were pretty disparaging. Some guy said, quote, "Never heard that rule. No one ever gave me a ball. Lesson to be learned, you don't always get what you want," unquote. I replied with, "It's a baseball, not a job promotion. You don't always get what you want" could be applied to a kid on Christmas morning who's been acting a fool all year and received a lump of coal instead of a PlayStation 5. And just because no one gave you a ball doesn't mean that has to be the rule moving forward. It's like forgiving student loans. Sure, I paid for mine, but if moving forward people could have their loans forgiven, I'd be fine with that. Good for them to have something I didn't. You're going to notice a lot of, quote, me in these comments. Like, what about me? One person said, quote, I'm giving it to my younger self because I never got to experience anything as a kid. And I can totally respect that. If it's something that is deeply emotional for you, then I can get behind that. And someone to that replied, same. I'm going to heal my inner childhood that never got to experience games. Okay, fine. Anything to heal your inner child I can get behind, unless it screws over someone else. Like, please don't rip a baseball out of a 5-year-old's hand if it's rolling around under the seats. I just imagine some bearded oaf forcefully ripping a baseball out of a little girl's hand and screaming in her face, I'm healing my inner child! Healing one's inner child by destroying another, I guess. Someone said, quote, world don't work that way. And I replied with, can't make a 5-year-old's day? To which they replied, you can. Who's stopping you? How does gifting someone something that didn't even belong to you in the first place and just happened to fall into your lap by a big chance go against how the world works? How does the world work? I'm guessing this guy's message is similar to others in this comment section, and that is, quote, you need to earn it. Again, it's a foul ball at a baseball game, not a job promotion. Someone said, no, F that and F them kids. They should have tried harder. The extent to which a kid can, quote, try harder to catch a foul ball at a baseball game is minimal. He can bring a baseball glove. That will help him catch a ball. He can try harder by buying better seats, I guess, and getting closer to home plate. But if he's 7 years old and 4 feet tall, what chance does he have to reach above the 6-foot-tall drunk fans in front of him? I mean, he could try harder by bringing a ladder to the game, in that he could actually climb above some of those taller people in hopes of catching a ball. But given the fact you can't bring in your own food or drink to a baseball game, I highly doubt you'd be able to bring your own ladder. Here's one. Quote, everybody needs to earn their own foul ball, not given to them by a stranger. And I replied to this guy with, quote, how does an 8-year-old kid earn a foul ball? Seriously, this is such a dumb comment. So we have to earn a foul ball when we go to a baseball game now? That's like trying to earn $1,000 on a scratch ticket. Catching a foul ball is a crapshoot. It's already incredibly difficult for Major League Baseball players to hit a 90-mile-an-hour fastball where you want it to go. And sometimes it just hits the bat at a certain angle and flies frantically into the stands. Someone replied to my reply of, quote, how does an 8-year-old earn a foul ball? With, quote, the kid gets older and goes to more games. Oh, okay. So because someone is older and they are able to attend more games, that means their percentage of catching a foul ball goes up? What the hell are you talking about, dude? So the more games you go to means the more of a chance you'll catch a foul ball? Possibly. But that's logic that people who regularly buy scratch tickets use. People who win $500 on a scratch ticket, then another $500 on a scratch ticket the next week be like, I'm so close to that jackpot. No, it's a total crapshoot. A lot of people completely missed the whole point of this video, which was you catch a foul ball, you give it to a kid and make their day. And so many people were like, well, what if I'm at the game with my kids? Well, yeah, you'd give it to them. Of course, you're going to give it to your own kids. I never said give it to someone other than your own children. No, that would be incredibly stupid. Someone said, why? With many question marks after it. I said, I don't know, make a little kid's day so they can have a memory for a lifetime. And I put many shoulder shrug emojis after the comment. Someone replied with, they can wait like I did. So because you had to wait, everyone else has to? Then some guy replies with, if it's a 5-year-old, the parents help them. And I'm like, well, what if their parents were nowhere near the ball? This guy is like, quote, at 5, most kids don't remember. And here we go with that ridiculous line. And I'm going to totally use that logic against you. Why do you bother throwing your child a first birthday party? They're not going to remember it, even at 2 or 3 or 4. Does anyone listening here remember their 5th birthday party? No. But our parents do, and everyone there does. But it made you feel good at the time. It's the same thing with saying someone is too young to go to Disney. But I've already covered that at some point along the way. Anyway, this guy also said, quote, my kids have multiple hockey sticks, NBA shoes, baseballs from multiple stadiums, broken bats, and never expected an adult to hand them anything. And I'm thinking, well, who handed those items to your kid? Definitely not another kid. Technically, it was an adult, right? I really don't know what he meant by all of that, to be honest. Someone said, quote, so we're making up rules now? I mean, I jokingly said this is an unwritten rule. So with that being unwritten means it's not written down anywhere and should be taken with a grain of salt. Someone said, quote, no, with lots of O's. That's a participation trophy rule. If you catch the ball, it's yours. Again, how is a 5-year-old going to straight up catch a foul ball going up against Carl, who is 6'1", 312 pounds, and totally fueled up by multiple Fenway Franks and 32-ounce Miller Lights? Are we telling this kid he's got to jump higher? Someone said, quote, until I get my first one, I'm not handing out any. Me. More me's. Someone said, quote, and you probably think people who return their shopping carts deserve the Presidential Medal of Honor. I was like, no, but leaving your shopping cart in random places tells me a lot about you, though. Someone said, quote, I call BS. That's an unwritten liberal rule. And I said, making a kid's day is liberal? I think for me, catching a foul ball or home run and giving it to some random kid in the stands, other than my children, is a much better feeling than catching a foul ball and taking it home with me. What am I going to do with it? I'm 45 years old. What am I going to do? Put it in a little stand and put it on my office desk like I won a trophy? I caught a foul ball. Catching one would be very cool. I'd have that moment with it, and then, for me, I'd want to make some kid's day and give it to them. It's good karma. It's like buying lemonade from kids outside their house. You pull over, buy some lemonade, and let them keep the change. Obviously, unless it's 50 cents and you hand them a $20 bill or something like that. But making a kid's day with a foul ball is very much on the same plane as pulling over to buy lemonade from a kid's lemonade stand and letting them keep the change. I mean, can't we get behind a young entrepreneur? Someone commented, quote, I caught a Juan Soto home run ball against the Giants a few years ago. I caught it and gave it to this little boy who is a Yankees fan in the row in front of me. It's not a rule, but for me, catching it was my dream, and I know that ball will mean a lot more to that kid. Made my day, how happy he was." Unquote. And there you go. Someone who sees the bigger picture in all this. Now, there's obvious exceptions to this situation, as with any situation in life for the most part. If you're in the stands in deep center field at Yankee Stadium and you catch the home run ball that breaks the single season all-time home run record, then of course you're going to keep it. I had multiple people in the comments section of this video be like, quote, "I ain't throwing away Ohtani's record-breaking ball," or whoever hit it. Of course you keep a ball that is potentially worth money. Part of the overall chaos with that post is that this is the internet, and some people take things at face value or extremely literal. In the description of the video, I said, quote, "Do this or bad things will happen to you," unquote. A comedic remark about bad karma. And even then, people were like, "Well, that's not cool, wishing bad things on people." I'm like, oh my God. If you want to keep a foul ball because it makes you feel good and heals your inner child, then go for it. If you want to keep a foul ball simply because, quote, "F these kids," that's awful. If you want to keep a foul ball because you feel like a 5-year-old kid who didn't, quote, "earn it," which makes zero sense in this scenario, I know nothing will change your mind. Nothing will change your mind because people like that are just all about themselves. They grovel about any minor inconvenience that affects them. They're all over social media, ripping baseballs out of kids' hands, waiting to speak to the manager, berating cashiers at fast food places because their order wasn't right. Again, I'm talking about grown men because most of these people commenting were grown men. Me. Selfishness. Come on, people, do better. I think this is one of those situations where the memory will outlive the item. The memory of catching a foul ball at a Major League Baseball game is huge. Imagine catching a hard line drive, barehanded, all while not spilling a drop of your $12 12-ounce Sam Adams in the other hand, people in your section cheering you like you just made a diving catch to win the World Series. That right there is enough for most people. But then, as if the applause and cheering couldn't be any bigger, you look around, and in the row behind you is a kid with a glove and a sign that says, quote, "My first baseball game." And you realize you've hit the jackpot, and you say, "Here, kid." And in that moment, you've made a kid's day. Everyone around you is thinking, "He's a good guy." Women are drooling over you. Well, maybe not. But I'm sure they take notice and look at their boyfriend sitting next to them and say, "Why couldn't you do something like that?" But my point is that those two memories, catching the ball and giving it away, will outlast the attachment to the physical ball itself. If I caught a ball as an adult, especially someone in their 30s or 40s, and I decided to keep it, I'd bring it home, show my family, put it on my dresser, and then I think eventually it would make its way into a box in the garage because it would be replaced by something much more meaningful, like a painting my 4-year-old did with finger paints. When I was in 6th grade, playing my last year of Little League, I remember I brought a baseball to one of our last practices and had everyone sign it. I thought it would be cool to have signatures of all the players on the team from my last year. And after I had everyone sign it, I bought a small stand with a plastic enclosure that housed the ball. I had that baseball on my dresser for years. Eventually, I grew up, I moved out, went to college, got my own place, and so on. And that ball sat in a box of random stuff for years before I said, I really don't want this anymore. I have some pictures from me playing Little League, even some team pictures and a lot of memories. I think I still have a trucker hat from one of the teams I played for. But that baseball, I looked at it and I thought, I really don't need this. This really does nothing for me. I looked at the signatures and half of them I couldn't read, nor remember who that person was on the team. I thought, why am I holding on to this? I think I eventually took it out of the plastic case and used it to play catch with my son. There's an example of putting something that was sentimental to use. We all have stuff, right? Why do we hang on to some stuff and not other stuff? This is something I've talked about in previous episodes, but I think it applies here. Now, I read a really awesome story. I think someone had left as a comment on my TikTok, and it had to do with a father and his young daughter at their very first baseball game together. And he had said that as he was carrying his daughter out of the stadium at the end of the game, a player from the home team threw them a baseball. And even if the little girl didn't want it when she got older, that is something I would absolutely keep on display somewhere in my house for myself. And I know you're thinking, well, what's the difference between that and being at a baseball game with your friends and wanting to keep the ball as opposed to giving it to a random child? Well, if I keep that ball, there's no real big memory behind it. Some baseball I caught at a game with my friends. I wouldn't find that as special. But I'm sure every time that guy looks at that ball he caught 10, 20, 30 years later, he is reminded of a time when he could still carry his daughter on one arm. And he can sit back and have one of those moments where you take a deep breath and maybe tear up a little. Side note, if you ever go to Fenway Park, please do not get the chicken tenders and fries. I'm talking about the typical chicken fingers and fries from most of the concession stands in the park. Literally the worst chicken tenders and fries I've ever eaten in my life. I was expecting a big, meaty chicken tender, but what I got was that flattened chicken nugget consistency of a chicken tender. It was like they glued a bunch of chicken tenders from McDonald's together to form the shape of a tender. Anyway, some of the stuff we have that we consider sentimental, we keep in boxes in a basement or a garage, and half the time a mouse gets into it and does his business all over your stuff. After my wife and I got married, we took the knife and server from our wedding cake and put it in a box and just put it, quote, away. I found it years later and said, why don't we use these every day? There's no point in keeping these tucked away. These were from one of the most special days in our life. Why would we not want to use them all the time? I feel like our generation is trying to break free of the mindset our parents had, and that is, there are certain items in the house that our parents would act as if they were the cup of Christ. and could never be used unless it's an ultra special occasion, such as Christ returning. I would do that with sneakers I buy. I'd rarely wear them because I was afraid of ruining them. But I'd say, I'd really like to wear those retro Reebok pumps I bought, but I don't want to get them dirty. And one day I just said, I should just wear them. Because when I wear them, they make me happy. And if they get dirty, I'll clean them. And I know you can't have all of your possessions, quote, out on display. And some stuff you just have to put, quote, away. A lot of the sentimental stuff from my childhood, such as photo albums, awards, documents, are kept in plastic storage bins in my basement. And usually once a year, normally in late spring, I'll take them out and go through them, look at pictures and reminisce. It's a fun trip down memory lane. But every now and again, I'll come across something and realize, I don't need this. And I've been able to part ways with things that are just taking up space in boxes in my house. Taking up space not only in my house, but in my brain. Sometimes the more stuff I have, the more anxiety it gives me. And it took me years to realize that. And getting rid of that autographed baseball that really meant nothing to me took a while to be okay with. It's one of those things you question 1,000 times over. What if I need it someday? Most likely, no. Will I miss it? Probably not. But back to my original point of this whole episode, the feeling of making a kid's day by giving them a foul ball will stay with you longer than taking the ball home for yourself, where it will eventually make its way to a lonely box in a garage or attic, most likely never to be seen again. And above all, do better than the people in that comment section I talked about. Please. Anyway, thank you for listening. This has been episode 30 of the Why Are We Still Doing This podcast. And if you'd like to write in, you can do so at whyarewestilldoingthispodcast@gmail.com. whyarewestilldoingthispodcast@gmail.com. And if you like what you hear and you'd like to support the channel, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/whyarewestilldoingthis. That's buymeacoffee.com/whyarewestilldoingthis. Also, please follow me on TikTok at whyarewestilldoingthispc, all one word. Why Are We Still Doing This PC on TikTok. And we will see you all in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody. Bye.